When I first met Mike, I never imagined my life would become so entangled with his. Monica, that's me, wasn't ready to take on the role of a stepmother. Not for anyone. The very idea of raising two children who weren't mine felt like an impossible mountain to climb. I don't want to be anyone's stepmom, I told him bluntly one evening when he tried to convince me that we could make it work. His reassurances fell flat against the wall of fear I had built around myself. Things only got worse during one heated argument. In a moment of frustration, I called him a selfish man because he refused to see how terrifying the situation was for me. I didn't know then just how deep the scars in his past ran. But everything changed the night I overheard him shouting at Rachel, the children's biological mother. Her voice was cold and cutting, accusing him of being inadequate as both a father and a provider. Watching Mike's face twist in pain, seeing the way he clenched his fists to keep from losing control, it broke something inside me. That night, I realized this wasn't just about me or my fears. It was about a man trying desperately to hold his family together while the world seemed determined to tear it apart. It made me question whether I had what it took to stand by him through all the chaos. The nights after Rachel left were the darkest of my life. I remember sitting by Mia's bed, her tiny body trembling as she cried herself to sleep. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" she'd ask, her voice breaking into sobs that tore through me like a knife. I didn't know how to answer her without making things worse, so I stayed silent and held her close. The truth, that their mother had abandoned us, felt too cruel for two little girls who still believed in fairy tales. So I lied. I told them she was gone forever, that she had died. It wasn't just a lie. It was a shield. A way to protect their fragile hearts from the harsh reality of betrayal. One night, Mia looked up at me with tear-streaked cheeks and asked, "Why do we have to live if Mommy is dead?" Her words crushed me, leaving me breathless and helpless. How could I explain to a child why life goes on even when love dies? Instead, I pulled her onto my lap and whispered stories about brave princesses and magical kingdoms until her breathing steadied and her eyes closed. Those nights became my routine, staying awake while they slept, replaying every moment I failed them in my mind. Years passed, and though the crying subsided, the absence lingered. Then came the day Rachel returned, unannounced and unwelcome. She walked into our home like a ghost resurrected, her presence stirring memories I thought were buried. When Mia saw her, she froze, clutching my leg tightly. "Who is this, Daddy?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Rachel smiled awkwardly, trying to bridge the gap between herself and the daughters she hadn't seen in years. "Hi, sweetie," she said softly. "It's me, your mom." But Mia didn't see a mother standing before her. She saw a stranger. "You're not my mom," she shouted, backing away until she bumped into her sister. My younger daughter began to cry, clinging to Mia for safety. The room filled with tension as Rachel's face hardened, hurt morphing into anger. "What have you been telling them, Mike?" she snapped, glaring at me. Before I could respond, Monica stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Rachel," she said, placing a protective hand on Mia's shoulder. "These children don't know you. You can't just walk in here and expect everything to be okay." Rachel sneered, dismissing Monica with a wave of her hand. "And who are you supposed to be? Some replacement mother?" Monica's jaw tightened, but she didn't back down. "I'm someone who loves them more than you ever did," she shot back. The air crackled with hostility, and I felt like I was caught in the middle of a storm. For the first time, I realized how much Monica had come to mean to my daughters. and how fiercely she would fight for them. Rachel's return felt like a storm crashing into our fragile peace. She walked into the house as if she owned it, her heels clicking sharply against the wooden floor, her perfume lingering in the air like a toxic cloud. Her appearance was polished. Diamond earrings glinted under the light, and her designer dress screamed wealth. But her eyes were cold, devoid of any warmth or maternal instinct. "Mike," she said with a smirk, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "We need to talk." The words sent chills down my spine, but I nodded, ushering her into the living room while Monica kept the girls occupied in the kitchen. "Why are you here, Rachel?" I asked, my voice tense. She didn't answer immediately, instead pacing around the room like a predator circling its prey. Finally, she turned to face me, her lips curling into a cruel smile. "I'm in trouble, Mike. Gambling debts, and you're going to help me." Her tone left no room for negotiation. My stomach churned at the audacity of her demand. After everything she'd done, abandoning our daughters, leaving me to pick up the pieces, she had the nerve to waltz back into our lives and ask for money? But that wasn't even the worst part. Later that evening, during a private confrontation, she sneered at me, her words cutting deeper than any knife. "You think you're some perfect father? You'll never replace me, Mike. Never." Her mockery ignited a fire inside me, and for a moment I thought I might lose control. How dare she? She hadn't been there for bedtime stories, for scraped knees, for tears cried in the middle of the night. She had no right to claim anything about being a mother. Her next move was even more calculated. Determined to manipulate the situation, Rachel began showering the girls with expensive gifts. A designer backpack for Mia and a glittering bracelet for Lucy. At first they were hesitant, unsure how to react to this sudden display of affection from a woman they barely recognized. But children are impressionable, and I could see their defenses starting to weaken. That's when Monica stepped in, her instincts sharp as ever. One afternoon, she caught Rachel slipping an envelope of cash into Mia's school bag. Monica confronted her immediately, her voice steady but laced with steel. "What do you think you're doing, Rachel? These girls don't need your bribes. They have a father who loves them, and they have me." Rachel laughed bitterly, dismissing Monica with a wave of her hand. "And who exactly are you? Some wannabe stepmom trying to fill my shoes?" Monica didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned closer, her gaze unwavering. "I may not be their biological mother, but I care about them more than you ever did. Stay away from them." The tension between them was palpable, filling the room with an almost suffocating intensity. I stood frozen, watching the two women clash over the future of my daughters. It was then that I realized how much Monica had become a part of our family. Not just as my partner, but as a mother figure to the girls. Her fierce protectiveness was a testament to the love she had for them, a love that Rachel could never comprehend. Rachel had once been the center of my universe. I loved her with a passion that consumed me, trusting her completely despite the warning signs. But when she left us for another man, a wealthy stranger who promised her a life of luxury, she shattered not only my heart but also the foundation of trust I had built within myself. Her betrayal left an indelible scar, one that made me question every woman who entered my life afterward. Could they truly love me? Or were they just like Rachel, waiting for something better to come along? This fear lingered in the shadows of my mind, haunting me long after she disappeared. When Rachel returned, uninvited and unwelcome, it reignited old wounds I thought had healed. Seeing her again brought back memories I'd buried deep inside. Memories of stolen nights, whispered promises, And then silence. She stood before me now, older but no less selfish, demanding money to settle her gambling debts. My hatred for her burned fiercely, yet beneath it was a flicker of doubt. What if she decided to reclaim her role as a mother? What if she used her biological connection to manipulate the girls into thinking she cared? The thought terrified me. Every interaction with her felt like walking on thin ice. One wrong move, and everything I'd worked so hard to build could collapse. The tension reached its breaking point one fateful night. Rachel, desperate and reckless, attempted to break into our home while Monica and I slept. She must have thought we'd be vulnerable, easy targets for her greed. But Monica, ever vigilant, caught her red-handed in the living room. "What are you doing here?" Monica demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut through steel. Rachel sneered, trying to brush past her. "This doesn't concern you." She spat. "Stay out of this." Monica didn't back down. Instead, she stepped closer, blocking Rachel's path. "These children mean more to me than you'll ever understand," she said, her eyes blazing with fury. "If you think you can waltz back into their lives and hurt them again, you're wrong." Rachel laughed bitterly, dismissing Monica's words as meaningless threats. "You're nothing but a replacement," she hissed, "a poor imitation of a real mother." That comment ignited a firestorm. Monica's hands clenched into fists, and for a moment I thought she might strike Rachel. I rushed downstairs, heart pounding, torn between defending Monica and preventing a physical altercation. "Enough!" I shouted, stepping between them. "Rachel, get out of my house now!" For once, Rachel looked uncertain, perhaps realizing she'd pushed too far. Without another word, she turned and fled into the darkness. Watching Monica stand up to Rachel filled me with both pride and guilt. Pride because she was willing to fight for our family, and guilt because I knew part of the blame lay with me. If I hadn't lied about Rachel being dead, none of this would have happened. Yet in that moment, I realized how much Monica had become the anchor holding us together. Her courage reminded me that love wasn't just about protecting. It was about standing firm against those who sought to destroy. Phoebe had always been more than just a friend to me. She was family. Her unwavering support had carried me through some of the darkest days after Rachel left, and her sharp wit often served as both my shield and my mirror. But when Monica entered our lives, even Phoebe's loyalty wavered. She didn't trust easily, especially not with something as precious as my daughter's well-being. One evening, while the kids were playing in the living room, Phoebe pulled Monica aside for what felt like an interrogation. "Listen carefully," she said, her tone icy but direct. "If you hurt Mike or those girls, I swear on everything I hold dear, I won't forgive you." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment I thought Monica might crumble under the pressure. But instead of backing down, Monica met Phoebe's gaze head-on. "You're right to be protective," she replied calmly, though I could see the flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. "But let me make one thing clear. I'm not here because it's easy. I'm here because I care about them. About all of them." Phoebe studied her for a long moment before nodding slowly, seemingly satisfied. For now. That conversation became a turning point for Monica. It forced her to confront the doubts others had about her ability to step into such a complex role. And though Phoebe's skepticism lingered, she began to soften over time, watching how Monica poured her heart into caring for Mia and Lucy. Phoebe's true strength shone brightest during Rachel's unexpected return. When Rachel showed up at our door uninvited, Phoebe wasted no time stepping into the role of protector. "Who is this woman, Mike?" she demanded, her voice dripping with suspicion. Before I could answer, Rachel sneered, dismissing Phoebe as irrelevant. And who are you supposed to be? Another babysitter? Phoebe's jaw tightened and she stepped closer, her presence commanding. I'm someone who won't stand by and watch you destroy this family again, she shot back. If you so much as think about hurting these children or taking advantage of Mike, I'll call the police myself. The tension between them crackled like electricity, each word slicing through the room with razor-sharp precision. Rachel tried to laugh it off, but there was fear in her eyes, a flicker of uncertainty that told me Phoebe's threat wasn't empty. Later that night, as we sat together in the kitchen, Phoebe turned to Monica. You've got guts standing up to her like that, she admitted grudgingly. Just don't screw it up. But it was the closest thing to approval Monica would get from her, and it meant the world. Through everything, Phoebe remained the anchor holding us steady. Whether it was confronting Rachel or reminding me to cherish Monica, she played her part perfectly. Yet beneath her tough exterior, I knew she carried her own fears. Fears of losing the fragile balance we'd worked so hard to build. In many ways, Phoebe wasn't just protecting my family. She was protecting herself from reliving the pain of broken promises and shattered trust. The weight of Mike's past with Rachel pressed down on me like a storm cloud that refused to lift. After learning the truth about their fractured family, the abandonment, the lies, the emotional scars, I felt as though I was drowning in a sea of responsibility I hadn't signed up for. Could I truly be what Mia and Lucy needed? What Mike needed? Doubt gnawed at me relentlessly, whispering cruel truths in the dead of night. Who was I kidding? I wasn't cut out for this. The thought of failing them terrified me more than anything else. One rainy evening, after another exhausting argument with Mike about how we were handling things, I made my decision. I packed a small bag, tears streaming down my face as thunder rolled outside. I can't do this, I whispered to myself, my voice trembling. I'm not strong enough. As quietly as possible, I slipped out of the house, leaving behind the life I had started to build with them. But just as I reached the end of the driveway, I heard it. The unmistakable sound of sobbing coming from inside. My heart clenched painfully as I turned back and peeked through the window. There they were, Mia and Lucy, huddled together on the couch, crying into each other's arms. We don't want Monica to leave, Mia wailed, her tiny voice breaking under the weight of her fear. In that moment, something inside me shifted. How could I walk away when these two little girls depended on me so completely? They weren't just Mike's daughters anymore. They were mine too, in every way that mattered. Turning around, I stepped back into the house, dropping my bag by the door. Hey, I said softly, kneeling in front of them. Their tear-streaked faces lit up instantly, and they threw themselves into my arms. You're staying? Lucy asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, pulling them close. Of course I am. But staying didn't mean the road ahead would be easy. Society had its opinions, and they weren't kind. Whispers followed me wherever I went. Judgmental glances at the grocery store, snide comments from acquaintances who thought I was foolish for taking on someone else's children. Why would you put yourself through that? One woman sneered during a PTA meeting. Do you really think you can replace their mother? Her words stung, but I held my ground. I'm not trying to replace anyone, I shot back, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. I'm just trying to love them the best way I know how. That resolve became my armor. Every insult, every challenge only strengthened my determination to prove them wrong. And slowly, the whispers faded. Not because people changed their minds, but because they saw how much joy and stability I brought to Mike's family. For the first time, I realized that being a stepmother wasn't about living up to impossible expectations. It was about creating a new definition of family, one rooted in love, resilience, and unconditional support. There were nights when I felt utterly defeated, convinced that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shield my daughters from the wounds Rachel had inflicted. The weight of her abandonment loomed over us like a shadow, one I couldn't outrun or dispel. What kind of father am I? I asked myself in the darkness, tears streaming down my face. For a moment, I even considered giving up, walking away from everything because it all seemed too much to bear. But then I'd hear Mia calling for me in her sleep or see Lucy clutching her stuffed animal, and I knew I couldn't leave them. They needed me, even if I wasn't perfect. But Monica and I weren't immune to conflict either. One evening after Rachel's reappearance, tensions boiled over. "You never include me in decisions about the girls," Monica shouted, her voice trembling with frustration. "Do you think I don't care enough? Or that I can't handle it?" Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. She was right. I had been shutting her out, not because I doubted her love, but because I feared involving her further would only hurt her more. We stood there, both angry and hurt, until exhaustion took over. Slowly we began talking, not yelling, and realized that our strength lay in standing together. Through it all, one truth became undeniable. Being a mother isn't defined by biology, but by love and sacrifice. Rachel may have given birth to Mia and Lucy, but she stopped being their mother the day she chose herself over them. Monica, on the other hand, had stepped into that role without hesitation, pouring her heart into their happiness. And as we sat together one quiet evening, watching the girls laugh at some silly joke, Monica turned to me. "Love heals," she said simply. "If you have love in your heart, you'll find your way through anything." There were moments that felt like they could stop time, and one such moment happened on an ordinary afternoon in the kitchen. I was teaching Mia how to bake cookies, her small hands clumsily rolling dough into imperfect circles. "Mom," she said suddenly, correcting herself almost immediately. "I mean, Monica." But it was too late. The word had already slipped out, innocent and unfiltered. My breath caught in my throat as tears welled up in my eyes. I turned away quickly, pretending to focus on the oven, but Mike saw everything. He stood frozen in the doorway, his own eyes glistening with emotion. For a brief second, we shared something unspoken, a silent acknowledgement of how far we'd come together. Another defining moment came when Rachel tried to take the girls away. She had cornered them in the living room, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Come with me, darlings. We'll have so much fun." But instead of following her, Mia grabbed Lucy's hand and ran straight toward Mike and me. "We're not going anywhere," Mia shouted, her voice trembling but fierce. "This is our family." The sheer determination in her words left Rachel speechless, and even I felt a surge of pride mixed with relief. It was then that I realized they didn't see Rachel as their mother anymore. To them, we were their parents. But perhaps the most poignant moment came late one night when I found a letter Monica had written to me. "I don't know if I can do this perfectly," she wrote, "but I promise to try my hardest to protect our family." Her vulnerability in those words struck me deeply. Here was a woman who had faced self-doubt, societal judgment, and Rachel's manipulative schemes, and yet she refused to give up. That letter became a symbol of her unwavering commitment, a reminder that love isn't about being perfect. It's about fighting for what matters. Rachel's downfall came swiftly and mercilessly. The police arrived at our doorstep one cold morning, their presence casting a shadow over what had finally become a peaceful home. As they cuffed her, she turned to me, her eyes blazing with bitterness. "You'll never be happy, Mike." She spat venomously before being led away. Her words lingered in the air like smoke, but this time, they didn't wound me as deeply as they once would have. Monica was by my side, her hand firmly in mine, a silent reminder that I no longer faced life alone. Shortly after, Monica officially moved in, bringing with her not just her belongings, but also a newfound sense of warmth and stability. She named her room the family room, insisting it wasn't just hers. It belonged to all of us. Every evening, we gathered around the dining table where 4 plates now always sat, symbolizing unity and belonging. One night, as laughter filled the house, we sang our favorite songs together, voices blending harmoniously. Looking at Monica, I felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude. "Thank you for bringing light back into this family," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. Her smile lit up the room brighter than any lamp ever could. Some people leave scars, others leave lessons. Burn and reborn stories that break you, then rebuild you.